played this event, but if you remember the President's Cup, he was by far the best President's Cup player.
Oh, yeah.
He scored, I believe it was 3 points in that event, and I think that he is the kind of player that should play well here. Chris Kirk is another guy. He's 100-1 to win, who has a history of playing well at these events, and I think his, especially to win, the odds are kind of jacked up. He should be lower than that. For some of the cheap plays, I'm really looking at like Adam Stevenson, the Canadian, and then Alejandro Tosti. I think I'm hopefully not butchering that name. It's a really good
that's
story.
a tough one. Yeah,
he played in the Mexico Open last week. He got a sponsors exemption, got a top 10, and because of it, he's been able to qualify for this event. Ironically, in his last Korn Ferry Tour event, which that's actually the tour that he plays on, he was penalized for taking a shuttle, and it cost him 2 strokes. Ended up making him lose a top 10 on that tour. And if you look at it, he's had 6 straight top 20s between the 2 tours. So he is a just incredible talent, and I think that he's somebody that I look at these type of situations. He can really benefit from a good performance this week because, again, he's a Korn Ferry member. So if he has a good week here, he could actually get into the PGA event next week and also potentially secure his card because he had a top 10 last week. And with this being an elevated event, obviously the payout is so much bigger. A few other guys just for bets. Joel Damon, 5-1 to top 20 was somebody I looked at. He's finished no worse than 18th in his last 3 appearances at Quail Hollow. And I also actually like him, Ryan, at 100-1 to be the first-round leader. We saw him at the Masters come out. He's done that a few times. Ben Martin at plus 650 to top 20. He has 2 finishes inside the top 18 in his last 3 appearances at Quail Hollow. He has 4 top 13 finishes in his last 8 events. He is somebody that I think, again, you can find some value there. And then, like, one of my favorite plays this week is Akshay Biate, who, again, I'm sorry, I'm a country boy. I am not great with names, but he is somebody with really big. And he is 14-1 to top 10 and 6-1 to top 20.
Hey, Keith, you're kind of going in and out just a little bit.
Sorry about that.
No, you're good. So just kind of touching on what you're talking, yeah, we can hear you now. Just kind of touching about what you're talking about is when you're betting golf, obviously we kind of pivoted from daily fantasy sports to actual betting on golf, is there's a lot of props you can do in golf, just like any sport.
Yeah.
And some of those popular props are, first round leaders, second round leaders, third round leaders, and then winning the tournament. And then you can bet top 10s, top 20s. You can probably even go past that too, Keith. Can you go past the top 20?
You can. I
the odds
typically
go
don't
way
because,
down.
yeah, they've made it not as fun to do top 20s either. I used to do really well in top 20s. And, like, for instance, you remember we had Phil Mickelson 7-1 to top 20 at the Masters. That was pretty good odds, but they've made it where I guess these sites have realized that people who are smarts, I guess if you would call them, they're hammering those top 20 bets, and it's a lot more likely to hit.
Nope. You there, Keith?
Yes, I'm sorry. Can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you now.
It just, the top 20s is something that's a lot easier to hit, and the sites have made it more difficult to do so. I also look at it that any guy that I'm going to be gambling on, I'm going to use them in my DraftKings lineup because obviously I think that they're going to have success. And within DK, you get bonus points for low round. You get bonus points for being like in the top 5 at the end of each round or the end of the tournament. So you really want to try to highlight guys that you think are going to both do well from a DFS perspective and also a gambling.
And you talked about, I know on your show you talk a little bit about specifically, players and the type of clubs. You guys have a what's in the bag kind of segment that you guys talk about. Why don't you hit on that a little bit for this tournament coming up as well? And maybe we can get Jay to chime in on some of this stuff because his what's in the bag is pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Are you talking about my bag or?
No. What you were talking about kind of for the, who's the better drivers and the better iron players and all that stuff.
Sorry. Gotcha. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for the drivers, again, that's why Rory is somebody who I highlighted. Sahith Theegala is another guy that hits it a mile and really takes advantage of his T-balls. Keith Mitchell is another one that I looked at from that. Jason Day can still hit it a really long way. And then for, like, the iron game, like Ricky Fowler, I don't know if you've noticed the swing changes he's made this year, but I really like his swing.
He's completely changed.
Kind of the changes of that. And his iron game has gotten really good. Surprisingly, he has not putted great this year, and Fowler is traditionally a great putter. But I think that's one of the reasons I really like him this week on DraftKings at 8,800, and also I have him to win and top 5 and top 10, is I think maybe being on a course that he knows well, he will putt better there. And then, again, like Max Homa is a guy I have not mentioned. He's obviously the defending champion. He won actually at Quail Hollow in 2019. Be careful if you're looking at last year's research because they did not play Quail Hollow for the Wells Fargo last year. They did it at a different course. But he has won at both Quail Hollow and where it was hosted last year. And he's another guy that I think he's been struggling a little bit recently, but we saw how great he was playing earlier in the year. And he literally doesn't have a weakness. He can drive the ball. He can putt. He's a good iron player. I probably expect him this week at a venue that he should be very comfortable, again, having won the Wells Fargo twice, to kind of get back to his, good play.
Awesome. Hey, Keith, we got a break coming up. I know we're going to stick around and talk about some more betting stuff here for the Wells Fargo. Maybe we'll pivot and get your thoughts on some other draft and stuff like that besides the Atlanta Falcons. But you're listening to the Inside Drive.
Yeah, please, no more Falcons.
No more Falcons. There you go. We can talk about the Niners taking a kicker in the third round. You're listening to the Inside Drive live here on ESPN Northwest Florida. I'm joined by Jay Henley here in the Bill Kramer Chevrolet Buick GMC and Kramer Marine and Outdoor Studios. You can always give us a call at 850-215-6290. You can also text that line as well. We see your text coming in and would love to hear from you either on the phone or via text. When we come back, we'll be continuing on talking to Keith Fleming here on ESPN Northwest Florida. We'll be right back.
ESPN Northwest Florida has the real local fishing report. Hi, this is Tim from Bay Breeze Bait and Tackle. Join me every Friday at 4:20 during the Afternoon Underdogs. It's accurate, detailed content from local anglers, plus fishing updates on Saturday and Sunday morning right when you hit the water. Advice and stories from local anglers. Tune into the Bay Breeze Bait and Tackle Fishing Report, exclusively on ESPN Northwest Florida.
Afternoon weather forecast is calling for mostly sunny skies, warm temperatures near 80, and it looks like a west wind about 10 miles per hour. Water temperature in the Gulf is 73. Mostly clear overnight, 55 to 60 for the low with light winds. Thursday and Friday, mostly sunny to partly sunny, highs around 80. This weather forecast has been brought to you by Mid-South Lumber, the best little lumber yard in Panama City. For ESPN Northwest Florida, I'm meteorologist Tim Root.
Take your next adventure in an eco-friendly, all-electric Kia EV6 that gives you the movement that inspires. You can live fully charged while saving now and down the road on maintenance and fuel costs. You have to drive it really to believe it. Schedule a test drive today and explore the electrified Kia vehicles at Bill Burr Kia. Now offering 3.9% APR for up to 60 months on the purchase of a new 2023 Kia EV6. You'll get the perfect balance of comfort, safety, and technology, but with performance that minimizes the impact of our environment. Bill Burr Kia is the home of the 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty. Stop by and see us at 2435 East 15th Street or anytime at BillBurrKia.com. We make it easy to switch to EV ownership that gives you the peace of mind you can trust. Offer from Kia Finance for the purchase of a new 2023 Kia EV6 with $1,837 per month for $1,000 finance for 60 months. Quantities limited. No down payment required. Cannot be combined with other finance offers. The 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty is a Bill Burr Kia warranty. See dealer for details. Offer for well-qualified buyers must take delivery from dealer stock through 5/1/23.
Coming in hot.
So hot.
It'll be a hot one. Really hot. Goddamn.
The Inside Drive with Ryan Mulvey. Live from the Bill Kramer Chevrolet Buick GMC and Kramer Marine Outdoor Studios on ESPN Northwest Florida.
And welcome back. You're listening to the Inside Drive live here on ESPN Northwest Florida. We are sitting inside the Bill Kramer Chevrolet Buick GMC and Kramer Marine and Outdoor Studios. You can visit both of those awesome businesses out there on 2251 West 23rd Street in Panama City. Also, you can give them a call at the Chevy Buick GMC dealer at 850-250-1403 or give Kramer Marine and Outdoor a call at 850-851-0453. I know if you need a boat engine or something repaired quickly, that Kramer Marine and Outdoor can get it done fast. We'll actually be joined in studio tomorrow by Mr. Chris Kramer. We're looking forward to him and talking some Florida Gator sports for sure. But as of right now, we are still joined on the line by Keith Fleming. He is a writer for the Fantasy Six Pack, director of the DFS content for Fantasy and Frames, as well as host of Two Off the Tee. Keith, we appreciate all that great DraftKings insight. I think Jay Hanley had a couple things to say to you about that.
Keith.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What's up, Big Jay?
Hey, how you doing, man? Hey, no.
Best golf instructor in Florida.
That's right. Don't forget it.
Yeah. Hey, so tell me a little bit about. I love the picks, man. Why did you shy away from Cameron Young? I'm curious because it looks like he's averaging about Quail Hollow's 7,500 yards, par 71 this week. Is that right?
Yes, I don't dislike him for DFS.
Okay.
The only concern I have, like betting him to win, is his odds, which are obviously, again, I think he's like 22-1 this week, and he's never played this venue. He finished runner-up last year, but again, that was not at Quail Hollow. Now, he has proven time and again that it doesn't really matter if he's played a course before, because he is just a bad mamma jamma and hits the ball an absolute mile. But I really lean on each week. I love guys that have experience and have success at venues. And unless somebody has really good odds or they are, I feel fairly priced on DraftKings, I try to stay away from guys that it's their first trip there because we kind of don't have any research or numbers on how they're going to do at that venue.
Yeah, I've been following along, through the text and stuff, man. Like I'm a firm believer, man. I'm on my phone right now getting my picks together for this Wells Fargo, man. So I like where you're going with it. So Cam Young, thumbs up or thumbs down? Thumbs up.
I actually DraftKings, I like it. Yeah. I have no problem with that.
Okay.
Kind of like he was saying, you got a lot of these guys, the Schauffele's, the Hovlands, the Spieths, the Finaus, the Cantlays. I mean, Rory, obviously. It's just at 20-1 or around that, you'd have to bet so much to make it happen that it's not as much good value. And Keith, correct me if I'm wrong.
Absolutely. I really, especially at this event where just in the last 10 years, we've had 3 500-1 guys win this event, including Max Homa in 2019. So it's been one of those events that, yes, you've had your Rorys, and like Fallow is one of the top players in the world when he won there. But overall, there's been some surprises. And from a gambling perspective, especially when you're doing bets to win and stuff, that's why I went with several guys, 65 and above, because now you're talking about you don't have to place a big wager and you can have a really good week if they end up winning the tournament.
Yeah. I like it.
You got it locked in, Jay? Are you going to take your vote?
I'm going in, man. I'm going all in.
You've got to. Yeah. Going back to some of, just talking about the straight up betting, again, not legal here in Florida, but people find ways to make stuff happen. So what are, besides, I know you mentioned a couple long shots talking about Chris Kirk, as well as Ashley, like you said, the name, I can't pronounce that.
Beate. That's right.
Yeah, we're going to run with it. We're going to run with that.
There's a lot of vowels in that.
Yeah, 200-1. He's got a crazy story, too. I wonder is his girlfriend or fiance still caddying for him?
I don't know.
Or is he switched to a professional? Not she wasn't a professional. You know what I mean?
He's also not afraid to take off his shirt on the golf course.
Yeah. Yep. And hit some shots out of the water.
Yeah.
That's for sure. I mean, that would be if you could get that at a 200-1, Jay, that means if you bet $10 and it's 200-1, you win 2,000. Good job.
Boom.
There you go.
That's what I'm talking about.
We're getting there. So
that's why I was disappointed last week when I had him 90-1.
Oh,
and
yeah.
It looked like for a while he was going to win, and I had Brandon Wu at 60. Basically, everybody at the top but Tony Finau I had. So, but that's gambling.
Yeah, that's why it's a gamble. That's for sure. Yeah. That's for sure. Well, let's Let's pivot, and you may not be kind of right there yet, but we've got the second major of the year is coming up here in a couple weeks up at Oak Hill in Rochester, New York. What are some of your early, for people putting futures bets on that golf tournament? What are your thoughts on some of the kind of guys that you would think? Obviously, you've got some serious, front runners. Rahm's obviously going to be an odds-on favorite probably to win the tournament. Scotty Scheffler, Rory, Patrick Cantlay. Although he may not, it may take him so long to get up there and see what happens. But what are some of the people you're seeing for that PGA Championship? What are your thoughts on that?
So we had a lot of success at the Masters, as you know, including a lot of your great picks from our show with live guys. And we were just absolutely shocked at the odds. They were really kind of being disrespectful to those guys. And whatever you feel about them going to a live tour or whatever, when you're gambling, who cares?
Yeah,
right?
take emotions out of it, that's for sure.
Exactly. And so I'm still looking at those guys, because guys like Patrick Reed, Cam Smith, Cam Smith being 22-1, I think Cam Smith is still one of the top 3 or 4 golfers in the world. Again, this is no offense to Xander and Justin Thomas and those guys, but I would much rather have Cam Smith, who's in some cases higher odds than those guys. Particularly because he's just such a good putter. And we've seen in majors that's what it's all about. He won the Open Championship by making freaking everything.
Every putting
on Sunday. One of the best putting exhibitions I've ever seen. So I like those guys. Obviously, it's really hard to go against Rahm right now. It's going to be at Oak Hill, which is a course like just about every course that sets up well for him. But again, the problem with Rahm, Scheffler, Rory is they give him Tiger-type odds. Like in his prime, they're getting like 7-8-1. And that just, to me, it's risky to bet on that. So I'm looking at some of the live guys. The other guy I really like is Matt Fitzpatrick, who seems to have figured something out. He seems to have kind of developed into the player that, a lot of people thought he was going to be when he first showed up. And it's amazing to watch how far he hits the ball now. I don't think people understand. He is one of the longer dudes on tour now to go along with somebody who's a great iron player. He obviously putted tremendously.
He still looks 14, Keith. He still looks 14 years old.
Hey, he's been working out like crazy. He's trying to change that.
Yeah. He did get rid of the braces, which is a nice look.
Good.
And I love the fact that he played with his brother last week or a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, the Heritage.
And the team event, because they literally, if they would have won, he would have got his brother a PGA Tour card, which, again, it's kind of like with Finau. It's hard not to root for people like that. But the other thing just to remember for the PGA Championship is out of all the majors, it seems to be the one that you get the most surprising champion. A reminder, Jason Duffner won the PGA Championship last time it was at this venue. And Duffner, who, again, War Eagle for your Auburn fans out there.
Eagle.
But he has not done much else, really since then.
He's sitting at 6,000 in DraftKings right now.
And he should stay at 6,000.
Yes.
Don't touch that one there, Jay. I think that you can take some chances at the PGA that I would not recommend, say, at the Masters, which, because it's at the same venue, we kind of know the guys are going to play well, or the U.S. Open, where, again, we know the kind of players that are going to do well there. Like, you have to be able to be, pretty much superior tee to green and a really good scrambler and putter, because the rough is out and it just plays so difficult. Open Championship, again, we kind of know the players that play well in windy, fast courses, which a majority of the Open Championship are, where the PGA, they kind of just let the guys go. And it's a shootout, and it's also why those majors, maybe other than the Masters, have been the most entertaining over the last decade. I think of like Brooks and Tiger, going head-to-head in 2000, I think it was 19, which was just one of my favorite tournaments of all time. Even though my guy Tiger didn't win there, it was just an unbelievable viewing experience. So I would be targeting, though, guys, again, that have been playing well, obviously, but I like to look at the guys for, especially the PGA, not so much the U.S. Open and the Open Championship. I would start 35, 40-1, other than a few guys, like I said, with Cam Smith and Matt Fitzpatrick, and try to locate guys that you think have the game for major championship. I'd look at previous majors. Brooks Koepka was somebody that consistently was top 10ing and top 5ing majors. before he went on to win 4 majors in a 2-year period. So it was surprising to a lot of people that Koepka won 4 majors, but if you really looked at his track record in those events, it's not that surprising. He had shown that he had the merit to play in the toughest tournaments in the toughest conditions.
But how ironic would it be, or what kind of memes would be out there to have a live golfer hold the Wanamaker Trophy here in the next few weeks?
It could very well happen.
It would be pretty great. What do you guys think about the Taylor Gooch situation? Have y'all talked about that at all?
The which part of it? Just him dominating right now, or him being upset about all the half of his money being taken away?
Well, actually, neither of those. The PGA Tour changing one word in their qualifications for the majors, the PGA Championship, where he was in the top 30 even at the end of the year, despite not being there since May. And so he technically qualified for the PGA Championship. And then they changed it to where it said that you had to, be a member of the tour. But that was something they just recently changed. And, I am not on the side of live guys on much stuff, but I think this is very petty by the PGA. And if somebody earned their way into an event, you shouldn't then go and change a word to where literally he was the only player affected by it, especially when they're letting other guys who have qualifications, are playing in the event.
That I did not hear about that. That's pretty crazy for sure, especially being a member of the PGA of America. Myself paying my dues every year, a little disappointed about that because at that time, at the end, he qualified then. I mean, I get all the politics and all that stuff about it, but I agree with you wholeheartedly. I mean, if he qualified at that time, why? And you're affecting one person.
Yeah.
That's pretty dirty in my opinion.
Yeah,
not surprising, but dirty.
I agree. Yeah. We can't change stuff in the middle of a game, much less a season.
I've got an interesting question for you, Keith. Obviously, the PGA Championship is a little different tournament than the rest of them as far as the majors because you have 20 guys that we were just talking about PGA members, and we were talking about Chris Kramer, who's he's this big sponsor for our studio here. He was just out in New Mexico caddying for his brother-in-law who qualified for the PGA Professional Championship. The top 20 guys.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome. He ended up not making the cut, but the top 20 guys from that tournament get into the PGA Championship, and one of my former colleagues, Johan Koch, has played in 3 PGA championships. He's the general manager up there at Troubadour Golf Club just outside of Nashville, and he's played in the PGA 3 times. Is there ever any prop bets for like a PGA professional, not a PGA Tour member, a PGA professional making the cut? Because I know it's happened.
Yes.
Okay.
They have them on DraftKings because they're actually, and I feel bad because now I'm forgetting the guy's name, but someone I knew, I used to work in the golf business, and literally when I was, a dream of mine was that I'm going to get my, PGA or professional card, and then I want to qualify for the PGA Championship. I think it's one of the coolest things in sports that they allow that many spots to get into a major event that they host. But I used a guy in DraftKings because I actually knew him through someone, and it was just, more of a nod to not necessarily making the smartest play in the world, but just I wanted to have a little extra rooting interest for somebody that I was pulling for. So, but there is prop bets and stuff on them as well, and they're usually really high odds. There has been a few PGA professionals that have made the cut at the PGA Championship most years. Obviously they don't really have a great chance of winning because they have real jobs, right? And
yeah.
The PGA Tour guys are just playing golf. And I'm sure Ryan and Jay can tell you more than most that most people don't understand the hours and stuff that goes in to being a member of the PGA and, running a golf club. It's really hard work that I admire, and that's partly why, unfortunately, I got out of that business. But without it, we wouldn't have all the great courses that we do now, and the tournaments and all the stuff that you guys are included for. And having just played your course, Bay Point, recently, it is in phenomenal shape, and it was just a blast for me and my dad and one of my buddies that came down and played.
And that's You know, and a lot of people don't realize that that's one, like you said, one of the coolest things about the PGA Championship is us as PGA members, you do have an opportunity. The 41 PGA sections all have section championships. Each have different amount of people that get in depending on the size of the section. But I know we had 3 guys from the Alabama Northwest Florida PGA section who qualified for the PGA National Championship. I haven't checked to see how they're doing. It'd be awesome to see one of them go on and finish in the top 20 to go to the PGA Championship. But pretty cool route for sure to make that happen. So that's one of the ways.
Unbelievable story, right? Like for somebody who works at 9 to 5 and has given their life to the game to then be able to say that they teed it up in a major. And you know, there's been instances like the U.S. Open, which there's open qualifying, where these amateurs end up getting paired like with Tiger Woods or somebody. And just, you want to talk about a story that you tell your grandkids, it doesn't get much cooler than that.
Yeah, and that's where you got some really incredible stories in the game of golf and why it's such a beautiful game that you can play for your whole life, because stuff like that can happen. Hey, Keith, before we let you go, when we hit our next break, just let everybody know listening where they can follow you for all your great insight, not just on golf, but any other sports you're looking to do daily fantasy, as well as just betting as well.
Well, I really appreciate you having me on the show. I'm excited about being able to give some DFS and gambling advice, each week to your listeners. But you can find me at Fantasy Six Pack. Go to fantasysixpack.net. Again, I have a weekly article every week. It's my PGA, DFS, whatever the course is preview. It includes 10 picks. You can find me on Twitter at Keith Fleming. And again, if you'd subscribe to the Fantasy Six Pack YouTube channel, as well as the Fantasy and Frames YouTube channel, you will find there's some video shorts up right now, including me losing my mind about the Falcons draft pick. And again, now that happened literally right after the pick was announced. There's another video that is going to come up today where I try to more calmly explain why I looked like I was about to, spontaneously combust when I was complaining about that pick. But there's just so much great work on Fantasy and Frames. And again, if you play fantasy football, whether it be DFS, Dynasty, you're just in a buddy league, whatever, we have so much great free content. You should definitely check it out. And again, I just really appreciate you guys having me on. 2 of the nicest people I've ever met, Ron and Jay, and I'm just really happy for you, Ron.
Again, we'll keep that Venmo money coming from now. But Keith, it's been an absolute pleasure. We appreciate all your insight. You guys do a fantastic job and really know your stuff. And we're looking forward to getting closer to not only college but NFL football season here in a couple months, and having you on every Wednesday and everybody pulling out their phones and making sure you get their bets in. I may or may not have placed a couple regular bets while we were sitting here talking. So absolute pleasure. We've been joined by Keith Fleming. Keith, we'll talk to you next Wednesday. You have a great rest of your day, and hopefully it'll get better for your Falcons. At least you got the Georgia Bulldogs.
That's right. Thank you so much, guys. Go Dogs.
See you, Keith. There you go. The Go Dogs. So brutal. Well, we'll be back with our last segment here in just a moment. You're listening to The Inside Drive. I'm Ryan Mulvey, joined by Jay Henley. We will be right back.
I'm at a Gensall Bar of Queen.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
The Dan Patrick Show.
Steph Curry got 50. We act surprised when Steph does this. And I keep wondering, you get to a certain age where you go, okay, they haven't figured you out and they won't figure you out. I laugh and I cringe whenever I see one of these young guys going, when he's getting ready to guard Steph Curry. Don't do that.
It's the Dan Patrick Show. Weekday mornings from 9 till 11. ESPN Northwest Florida.
Gulf Coast Aquarium is now Gulf Coast Aquarium and Pet. They have a full line of live reptiles and reptile supplies, including the area's largest supplier of ZooMed products. ZooMed, a family-owned business with over 45 years of U.S.-based manufacturing. ZooMed is #1 in reptile products worldwide and is now available at Gulf Coast Aquarium and Pet, 469 Harrison Avenue, downtown Panama City.
Chuck was terrible at fishing. He spent many frustrating hours attempting to get results he saw from internet videos, aggravating trial and error fishing trips, and misguided advice from well-intended friends. Chuck is happy now with his newfound success after he visited Bay Breeze Bait and Tackle, where we keep fishing fun, simple, and successful. See us soon at Bay Breeze Bait and Tackle, located directly off Highway 98 on the west end of Panama City Beach.
Mid-South Lumber, where they treat you like family. Locally owned and serving the residents of Bay County for over 45 years. See Mid-South Lumber for all of your DIY projects, including windows, doors, siding, lumber, and millwork. Are you building a new home? Bring your contractor in to Mid-South Lumber and meet with a member of their sales team to discuss your framing, siding, windows, and doors. Mid-South Lumber, the biggest little lumber yard in Panama City.
And now the Inside Drive with Ryan Mulvey.
We're gonna have a talk.
Tell me what you know. Broadcasting from the Bill Kramer Chevrolet Buick GMC and Kramer Marine Outdoor Studios.
It's a frantic noise.
ESPN, Northwest Florida.
And welcome back. Just like that, Jay, we're here at our last segment on this beautiful Wednesday afternoon in Panama City Beach, Florida. I'm Ryan Mulvey, joined by Jay Henley. You are listening to the Inside Drive live on ESPN Northwest Florida inside the Bill Kramer Chevrolet Buick GMC and Kramer Marine and Outdoor Studios. Just a lot of fun people talking. That was awesome stuff from Keith. We'll get him out of the wind next time, but good times, and he's got some serious great insight. And, if you're a gambler, if you're betting, regular betting, or all that legal DFS stuff you can do here in Florida until the laws get changed, there's some opportunity to win some serious money.
Absolutely, and I advise go to check his video out.
That was so good.
Absolutely, it's a blast. So he gets emotional about it. He's all about it, and it was so cool to have him on the show.
No, I mean, and being a Falcons fan, it's just a tough task that you took on, right. When you did that. But again, at least you got the Georgia Bulldogs to run in there. Just a couple highlights that we can talk a little bit about. A couple things from the NFL yesterday. Obviously, Aaron Rodgers got traded to the New York Jets. Not yesterday, but yesterday, Jordan Love agreed to a one-year extension worth up to $22.5 million. I want to say about $13 million, and that was guaranteed. So the Jordan Love era is beginning in Green Bay. Speaking of Green Bay, Randall Cobb, I believe it came out this morning, ended up signing with the Jets as well. So he, longtime receiver for Aaron Rodgers, is going to be heading over to, I would say New York, but it's technically in New Jersey. But heading over there to the New York Jets. And then my San Francisco 49ers, they had to get another quarterback on the roster because with Brock Purdy questionable for the start of the season and then not knowing if it's going to be Trey Lance, they signed Sam Darnold in the offseason as well to bring in some of that veteran presence. They also signed another veteran backup, Brandon Allen, who's been in the league since 2016. I believe he played at Arkansas, and he's been the backup to Joe Burrow for the last 3 years. So a couple things going on there in the NFL is the OTAs are starting and people are getting to the facilities and making some stuff happen. We talked about it earlier, not on the show, but we talked about it. Some news that you never want to hear from your brother in the news, but obviously Patrick Mahomes, Super Bowl champion winner, former NFL MVP. His brother Jackson can't seem to stay out of the news. He was actually arrested and booked for charges of alleged sexual battery and some other things that happened with a bar owner back in February. So not what you really want to hear from your brother. He's been trying. I think he even told his brother to stay away from games and stuff like that. But yeah, the 23-year-old, he was accused of sexually and physically assaulting the owner of Aspen's Restaurant and Lounge when the 40-year-old woman claimed he forcibly tried to kiss her multiple times, and there was a video on it. So just not the news you want to kind of see. Jackson's always kind of been a troublemaker, but that came out today. TMZ reported that and all that good stuff.
We won't hold it against you, Patrick.
No, I mean, Patrick Mahomes is still arguably the best quarterback in the league right now. That's obviously debatable with Joe Burrow and all these Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson and all these other guys that are floating around out there. But we're getting ready to get into that college football time. It's only May, but what's going on right now? Did you watch any of those games last night?
Whoa.
Any of those NHL games? God, come on. We talked about it yesterday on the show.
No. So I did pick Dallas Stars. Krakens ended up winning in OT. Yep. I get it. So I'm 0-1.
However, though,
0-2 actually, because the Lakers. Yeah.
That's going to be a great series. But we talked about future Stanley Cup winning bets last night. That Seattle Kraken. I think they've gone down a little bit now. They were plus about, I want to say 1,500, 1,600. Now it's getting down there close to plus 1,000 to win that Stanley Cup. So A lot of good stuff going on in the NHL. That was a crazy game. I was talking to it about it with David before we got on the show, but Joe Pavelski scores 4 goals for the Dallas Stars. Not just a hat trick plus 1. I don't think there's a name for 4 goals in hockey, and they still end up losing.
Wow.
I got home from the second volleyball game last night, and it was already 4-2 in the first period, and I was like, what the heck happened? 6 goals scored in 1 period?
Yeah.
Whoever bet the over was feeling good about that. And then the second period, there's no scoring. Pavelski scores 2 more in the third. They go into overtime, and about halfway into that overtime period, the Seattle Kraken ends it on a turnaround wrist shot. I forget who scored it. I apologize for that. We do have another caller on the line. We have, I believe, Alan out there. Alan, how are you doing today?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Doing good. Alan with 2 off the tee?
Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah, tag teaming behind Keith. I'm not going to pick on him.
No, you should. You should. About that windy. He claimed he was at work, but we all actually thought he was Jason.
I heard a golf shot.
Yeah, he thought he was out on the golf course.
He 100% was probably playing golf.
There you go.
Hey, I just wanted to touch base on our buddy Aaron Rodgers. Why is he so toxic, man? They passed on JSN for Randall Cobb. What is Randall Cobb going to do in that offense? Like, it's ridiculous. And I also wanted to tell people who are not familiar with Jordan Love, you can mark this down, book it. He is terrible. He's terrible. He got in the league because he had a highlight throw, and Zach Wilson had a highlight throw. Zach Wilson's was the practice rollout, throw 70 yards down the field. Everybody's like, oh, he's going to be great. Jordan Love played for Utah State, and he had a game where he was just airing it out. And the defenders couldn't get a good read on the ball because it was such an ugly thrown ball, and everybody just praised him as the next Patrick Mahomes, and that's literally how he got drafted.
So you're saying don't pick the Packers to win the division for the foreseeable future?
I would not. I'm dead serious. I would not invest in the Packers to win the division. Even if Kirk Cousins plays with his left arm, I think
which Brock Purdy needed to do in the NFC Championship.
They would still be better. The Lions are trending up. The playmaking ability of Justin Fields alone with their draft moves, I give them maybe 2 to 3 years max before their player. But I think in the weirdest way possible, it's probably the Lions division on paper.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Packers just haven't made any smart moves with their quarterback, and I don't even think that they expected Aaron Rodgers to leave. I think this all just went left, and they were just like, you know what, we're tired of it. Go.
Well, what do you think then? Now, I know Aaron Rodgers is a quirky dude, but obviously he's played a lot of good football, not against our San Francisco 49ers.
We own him.
Yeah, exactly. He owns the Bears, but we own him, so in turn we own them and the Bears. So, but what do you think about the AFC East? Do you think now the Jets are a player or a favorite to win that division now with all the moves they made? Obviously, they got some serious talent around him and a great defensive head coach in Salah out there as well. So, what are your thoughts on them potentially being able to win that division now?
So I want to say yes, because Aaron Rodgers is not Russell Wilson. There was no indication that there was a real steep decline in his playmaking ability. But my issue is he's such a mental case. Lambeau, Green Bay, Wisconsin is not New York media. And, man, New York media will break you down. And he's out there. Like, he's Joe Rogan, conspiracy theory / locking himself up in a dark place. Like he is a quirky dude. I'm hesitant because I don't know how that'll transpire. Like, I know this is going to sound weird, but he could turn into the white man version of Kyrie Irving out there, and that would be a problem for the Jets.
And then that market is a tough place to do that.
Yeah, if his head's in the right place, I think the loss of Leslie Frazier for the Bills is going to hit them harder than people think. I think they have some depth issues that they didn't really address on their defensive side of the ball, and I would favor the Jets. Keep an eye on their edge rusher that they got from Iowa State. Dude is a pure pass rusher. Next to Keenan, he's going to be they're going to be a monster defensively, and so I think Aaron does just enough, as long as his head is in the right place, to get that division.
Yeah, just enough to make the team win a bunch of football games. I mean, he has been spending a lot of time at Madison Square Garden, and the Knicks got one last night. But there's been a lot of he's been there. It seems like almost every night since he's went over to the Jets. But I remember you saying I don't think you're a hockey guy, but I'm gonna put you on the spot. Who's your favorite now to win the Stanley Cup? There's 8 teams left, and obviously 2 games happened last night.
I am not a hockey guy, but I am enough of a sports watcher to know that NHL is absolute chaos right now.
Yes, it's beautiful.
Was it Florida that beat the Bruins?
Yes, the Bruins had a 3-1 lead, and the Panthers came back in Game 7 in overtime to knock off the record, the most points in a season, Boston Bruins.
So hear me out, folks. I would go with Florida off the basis that, historically speaking, the teams who knock off these high-tier teams carry that momentum all the way through. I would just ride the wave.
Well, and they got a great goaltender in Sergei Bobrovsky, who's been
that's all you need.
Been there a lot.
Is everything.
That's it. I mean, and they started off beating the Leafs 4-2 last night in a very dominant game. They just kind of dominated that game from start to finish and looked strong. You got to watch out for those South Florida NHL and NBA teams. So let's switch gears while we got you on the line. What do you think? What do you think about the Lakers Warriors series? Do you think it's going to be kind of a battle back and forth, going to a Game 7 kind of thing?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a battle. I think that if the Warriors didn't have some semi-tired legs, they would have probably finished that game a little bit better, because they did go on a 14-0 run. I worry about the rotational depth that the Lakers have, but they do have the best player on the floor, and it's actually not LeBron James. It is Anthony Davis. And as long as Anthony Davis stays healthy, literally there's nothing the Warriors can do but hope. Like, he matches up against everything they do. He's too big for their small lineup, too skilled for the big lineup. So he is the X factor. I'm just a little concerned with allowing this team to shoot so many threes, because you're playing a very dangerous game when you allow them to get these shots off. But
that's what's going to keep them in the games,
These NBA numbers at the end of the final, I mean, 120, 125, 20 years ago, you never saw that.
Except the Knicks and the Heat. Always bet the under on the Knicks and the Heat.
Okay. All right, good to know.
And for real, if I've got like a couple more minutes, just the trend in the current NBA, people play with pace. It's all about possessions. It's kind of advanced statistics, but they deal more with how much you're going to do within 100 possessions. And so while it looks like nobody's playing defense, they are. It's just people are playing faster. Over in the East, though, with the Knicks and the Heat, it's a throwback, man. They do a lot of half-court sets. They're not really pushing the break, and they try to play slower pace, mid-range game. It almost looks like a 90s style compared to what we saw last night, you know?
There is no doubt about that. Yeah, last night it's just push, back and forth, shoot the three. AD, what? That was a record-setting performance, 30 points and 23 rebounds, I think it was, and only been done by Wilt and I forget who else.
And he should do that every night.
Yeah,
I kid you not. He really should.
If he just stays healthy, like you said, that's kind of the key. And that's why they brought him over there to be the best player on the floor, so LeBron doesn't have to do it night in and night out.
But with Curry, I guess, with 27 points last night, I mean, I don't know what the Golden State's record is with Curry less than 30, but I'm sure, Curry's got to score more than 30, right?
And this new team that they have, if you look at their plus minus when Curry's off the floor, it is insane. Yeah. Now, in the past years, even when they've won the finals, they've been bolstered by six-man type performance, like Andre Iguodala, and then Livingston, and those guys used to come in and kind of fill in the cracks. They don't have that anymore. Jordan Poole is a loose cannon sometimes. You live and die by his efficiency. And Gary Payton Jr. is cool. He's a good athlete, but he's not the consistent scorer. So they essentially have to have Steph score honestly probably anywhere between 35-40 a night in order for them to maintain that leverage. If you look at last night, at one point, I think the Lakers bench had scored like 10 to 13 points, and the Warriors were on 0.
Yeah.
That just can't happen in a home game.
Yeah. Yep.
Hey, Alan, we're coming up at the end of our show. You got to make sure you call in as much as you can, and maybe we can try to get you on a schedule as well, because we appreciate you not calling in while you were playing golf like Keith. Keith, we're just messing with you. We love you. We appreciate you doing it. Alan, we will talk to you soon. That is for sure.
All right, man. Take care.
Yes,
take care,
Thank
Alan.
you for calling. Hey, just remember, coming up next is The Herd. It's been pushed back. You get the full 2 hours from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m., and then that will be followed up by Greeny, and then at 4 p.m. tonight, don't forget you got the Afternoon Underdogs live at Dave & Buster's with the Braves game right here on ESPN Northwest Florida. But by that, Jay, it's been an awesome day.
It has been.
Go back out there and teach some golf in this beautiful weather. And if you guys need golf lessons, you want to get better, you got to see Jay. You heard it from Keith. He's the best instructor in the state of Florida. It's been an absolute blast. We've been live today on the Inside Drive from the Bill Kramer Chevrolet Buick GMC and Kramer Marine and Outdoor Studios. He will be joining us tomorrow in studio. We'll be talking all sorts of sports. We're live on ESPN 104.3 in Panama City, 101.9 in Forgotten Coast, and then 102.1 all the way from Mariana up to our good friends up there in Dothan. You got The Herd coming up next. We will see you tomorrow.
ESPN Northwest Florida. Here's what's happening.
Hi, this is David from the Afternoon Underdogs. Join me, Drew, Amanda, Kyle, Caveman Rick, AG, and a cast of sports fanatics every Wednesday at Dave & Buster's.
While we are broadcasting the entire show live on the